deeper into India at lower unit cost, use different technology tools to assess credit risk, to make sure that we are providing the right kind of solutions to customers. So innovation is important. I also understand that all our money, a large part of our money, especially the common man, is lying in banks. And that's when the regulator gets worried how much innovation do I allow? And I'm not the regulator. And I must say our regulators have done a superb job. We can see even in the last 5 years. But that is something that needs to be solved for. Third is that financial services in India and companies like Bajaj Finance have benefited dramatically by our government's investment in digital public infrastructure. So like the physical public infrastructure, everything from Aadhaar, UPI for payments. Today our monthly UPI transactions in India are close to 16 to 17 billion. That is more than the US monthly. That is more than China monthly. That is more than Europe monthly. It is more than all of them put together monthly. This is happening in India. Look at the ease. You go to buy 2 bananas from the Hath Gadi wala and he'll show you a QR code on his phone. Doesn't happen in too many countries around the world. And all you need to know is otherwise a mobile number. Think at the back end. What is the work that is gone in making this happen? Look at the scalability of that to do 16 to 18 billion transactions a month. Our error rates are dramatically low. Once in a while, it still happens that your UPI transaction will not go through. But that hardly ever happens now. And look at from the cyber security side, what all stability has to be provided at the back end, because you don't want your money disappearing just because you are using this facility. And this is only one example. Digital KYC, digital bank accounts, the entire National Digital Health Mission, which is digitizing healthcare in India. We already have, I think, close to 200 million health IDs called ABHA IDs. So there is a lot of work that the Indian government has done, and they've taken a very unique position. See, the West, when it creates such infrastructure, it is not free for use for public. It is the MasterCards created the Master and the Visa charging system, the interchange. In India, it is UPI. It is free. Or you have China, where a few large people like the Tencents of the world and the Alibabas of the world created closed ecosystems in which payments and transactions and purchases happen. India took a very different position 20 years ago to say that like we create roads and stuff and it is free to use or at very low charges, same way we will create this, because for a large part of our population at the lower end, they need these services to be free or close to free. But because we are a large country, corporates like us can make enough money on the top 50%. So today, and since everybody's here, I can do a little bit of sales. For UPI, please use Bajaj Pay. But when we host Bajaj Pay, we lose money doing that because we can't earn anything. Unlike Master or Visa, where you pay 2%, we lose. However, what it does is it brings tens of millions of Indians onto our platform for where they engage with us for many other products and solutions. So these three changes and how do you propagate this for the next decade will really help financial services grow and become that much more relevant as India is growing.
So my words, not yours. We need a little bit of regulator reform as well to be able to rethink the balance between risk and growth, because I think that's one of the contentions of NBFCs and banks in particular. Last question before I take it to the audience is on a completely different topic, which is, I know you've headed CII, you've had a lot of spokesperson of industry for the country roles that you've had. So it's about skilling. It's fairly clear now that manufacturing is not going to create the number of jobs that it used to in the past, primarily because of the way modern manufacturing works. It also requires a skill set that is significantly upgraded. Similarly, I think services also requires a skill set that is maybe a little better than the average levels of skill in the very modestly educated population we have. We've had many skilling initiatives. There is a big, every time I go to think tanks, there is a debate where Some people believe, one side believes that the private sector should step up with skilling. The private sector often says that it's the government's job to make sure that there is skilled manpower available. So where do you weigh in on this? And I know that there is a lot of very interesting skilling work that your group companies do as well as yourselves. So any guru mantras for larger adoption on this, because we need to fix this.
No, we clearly need to fix it. We need many more jobs in this country, and we need many more youngsters who are employable. So both are required. And as you correctly said, the number of people required to produce one widget is reducing because productivity is improving. And it is important that productivity improves because we have to be globally competitive. But what we have to do is we have to increase the size of the pie. If earlier we were producing 100 and that required 100 people and it requires 80 now, we have to produce 200, we have to produce 500, we have to produce 1,000. And that's where one of the things that we need is from our FTAs with different countries around the world to our custom duty structures, to our PLI schemes, to liberalization, not only at the central level, but even at the state level. All these have to be in sync to ensure that we are competitive and we are able to manufacture not only for ourselves, but for the world. So that's important. And that's what will create more jobs. Of course, our domestic consumption industry is also creating more jobs. Second is then, how do you prepare our youth? So for a number of jobs, there are a bunch of colleges that are very apt. And that's why, as I was talking to Dr. Mashelkar just now, he was talking to me about the new Silicon Valley in Pashan with how many research institutes and startups and everything else coming up and hundreds of PhDs over there. So it's not like it doesn't exist. How do you scale this up? As again, Dr. Mashelkar says, not by leapfrogging, but by pole vaulting. How do you take it up 1000x? That is where, of course, the role of the government is to prepare on the public side. But I look at it as a businessman to say that if I need 5 inputs for an output, and if one of that is skilled manpower, and if that is not available in sufficient quantity, I can keep complaining about it or I can do something about it. And every time you bloom one flower somewhere, 100 other people see it and bloom 100 other flowers. So I think it's equally important to demonstrate. As a result, as a group, the Bajaj Group evaluated a bunch of areas to get into on the social side. And we've been doing work for almost 100 years now. But last year, we announced a major focus on skilling within our overall social initiatives called Bajaj Beyond. And we've taken on the task over the next 5 years to skill over 20 million youth across manufacturing, financial services. We are doing this directly through a set of initiatives that Bajaj Auto is doing, Bajaj Finserv companies are doing. We've set up a center of excellence on skilling with CII, named after my late father, that will set up 200 skilling units around the country for skilling in manufacturing and services. They've tied up with one of the largest, for example, hospitality colleges in Switzerland for hospitality training. So all kinds of skilling, and we will build this up. And we've done this as part of our social obligation, not only for ourselves, but for India. I was speaking last week with Chandra, the chairman of Tata Group. They're putting a lot of money into skilling as well. And many others are doing this. So I believe that this is key to helping India grow. What is also important is, and this is a little anecdotal, I hope it's not more mass spread, is that you can see a number of business leaders saying, we're not getting people who want to come and work. Well, little bit negative of this whole digital era has been that for a lot of youngsters, they are spending 3, 4, 5 hours on their smartphones, watching YouTube, TikTok, this, that, and stuff. They don't want to go and work. And unfortunately, a lot of work, I mean, most work is hard work. You know, there's no easy work. So in a way, people are getting comfortable when they should be working harder. And I won't get into the debate of how many hours in a week.
I know, I was waiting for that.
but our job is to create those opportunities to enable the youth, and hopefully we can attract them then to come and build their own careers, their own futures as well.
Yeah, I think. Thank you. That was really insightful. I'm now going to open it to the audience. Okay, we'll start with the first row, but then we will move to the back rows. I can't see very well, so you just have to wave a little louder, wave a little harder. Please go ahead.
Sanjeev,
better. Thank you.
thanks for, first of all, making Pune an important hub in the fintech space. We are very proud of that. The trillion-dollar question, and I know I'm stealing Ganesh's thunder for his next session, but how do you see AI disrupting the fintech industry in India and globally in general, but India in particular?
So let me give you just a couple of examples. And we've been early adopters of AI. We think it will make a significant difference on the front end with consumers, also on the back end with productivity. We have an AI product that we launched below the radar January last year, so over a year now, that actually calls up consumers who have come to us through various channels, email, messaging, calling into our call centers, wanting a particular loan. It will call them back. It will speak in Hindi, English, or English based on the response. It will offer the loan